Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the On Second Thought show on the Mental Conditioning Sports podcast. So we had a very good week of sports, a lot of stuff to cover on the On Second Thought sports show, a lot to cover. Last week we had a great, powerful show. Thank you guys, all you guys that tuned in to listen. We appreciate the support. We're starting to grow, we're starting to get a little bit bigger, and it's creating great excitement for us. For the show, we're going to continue to have great guests in there. We certainly want to say once again thank you and shout out to Mark and Anthony for coming through. We appreciate that. You guys really added a lot to the show. We're still trying to dissect a lot of the things that went on. We're going back and watching the video ourselves and really getting more and more pumped up about the things that were said. So we'll definitely get them back on in the very near future. But the task at hand is to get to exactly all of the things that went on during this week, and there was a lot. We didn't get to any boxing last week, so I want to kind of start off on that as we, of course, get into playoff basketball. So let's do our introductions. Of course, I'm Elliot.
Isaiah.
Aaron.
Here we go. So let's talk a little bit about boxing. Like I said, we didn't talk about it at all last week. We got about 2 weeks out from boxing really kind of hitting a pretty good spot of, things coming up. I don't necessarily know if we got necessarily good fights that we're super excited to see. Great matchups necessarily. This is boxing, so no matter what happens, you can think that you don't have a good matchup and it turns out to be the fight of the year, upset of the year, and things of that nature. But we got a few things again in the next 2 weeks that are really going to be heating up. Let's kind of go through that a little bit and see what we have on the table. Starting off not this Friday, but next Friday, we're going to be starting off. We set it off in an unbelievable monumental event, which I thought was going to be impossible to pull off, but evidently they have done it. In New York City, which we are, in Times Square, which we're all very familiar with Times Square. It is a complete disaster in terms of people being down there. I have no idea how they're going to do this. I just actually spoke to one of my guys who's on the inside of the boxing world, and he told me that it is a go. He explained to me a little bit about the plan of what they're going to be trying to do. It sounds strange to me, but I don't know. We'll see. But let's get to the meat of what we got going on. There's going to be 3 fights. It's only a 3-fight card, which is, again, another unusual thing. There is no undercard. It's just those 3 fights that are going to be going down. Isaiah shared with us earlier in the week. We'll try to get that up. They had a huge press conference. It looked like it got a little hot and heated in that press conference. I didn't get a chance to really watch all of it yet. I will do that. But the 3 fights that we got on the table, we have Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. We got Raleigh Romero versus Ryan Garcia, and we got Teofimo Lopez versus Barboza. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's start with Devin Haney. We've had a lot of discussions about Devin Haney on this show, and a lot of back and forth banter about it, but now it's time for it to come into fruition. This is the thing I love about boxing. We're going to get the answers now. What do we think about Devin Haney? He doesn't necessarily have an easy opponent. He's got an opponent, which I think is good. He's got somebody's going to push him a little bit. Is there any concerns going into this particular situation for Devin that he will not be able to make a full comeback to Devin Haney form?
I feel like he's gonna make that comeback back to his full form because he said it himself. He knows very well if he doesn't win this fight, there's really no Ryan. Yes. So he knows he has to get past this fight to even talk about him and Ryan again. So I feel like he really does want that fight with Ryan again, which is I feel like it's motivating him to really whoop this guy and then go on to Ryan.
Good question. That's a good question. We'll address that one in a few minutes. Isaiah, what do you think about Dev? Is he ready to come back? Are you concerned at all about coming off of a loss like he came off of?
No, I mean, he's been out of the ring for a while now, so I mean, that Ryan Garcia fight really took a toll on him mentally,
yes.
Physically, and everything. But I think he'll be fine going into this next fight. I don't really know who the guy is. I don't know if the guy is a really good fighter, or if he's not really a great fighter. It's just a tune-up fight. Who's the main event of that?
I'm not sure how they're doing that. I guess it's going to be kind of equal in terms of because only 3 fights, so it's kind of like a co-main event throughout it. I mean, let's be honest. This is supposed to be what they call a showcase. Type of a card where we're showcasing Teofimo, we're showcasing Dev, and we're showcasing Ryan. But listen, I've been watching boxing a long time. Sometimes the showcase doesn't quite go according to plan. I'm going to agree with the guys. I think that Dev's going to definitely bounce back. But again, anytime a guy has a loss like he had, you definitely, these guys are human. So sometimes in your mind you're like, ooh, it's natural that if he gets hit, you kind of want to see him get hit. so he can say to himself, I'm okay, I can take a punch. But I think he'll be okay. I know he's trained extremely hard. As Isaiah said, he's been out of the ring for a little while, and I think he's utilized that time. All the accounts that I've seen of him, he looks to be in phenomenal shape. So I'm definitely excited about that. Let's talk about Raleigh and Ryan Garcia. If anything, in my opinion, just ask about who will be the main event. I think that, in my opinion, will be the main event. Does anybody think that Raleigh has any iota of a chance to beat Ryan Garcia?
No. I think Ryan's too much on a high right now, so I feel like there's really no confidence lost in him.
Yes.
And let's be honest, Raleigh lost to what? I told us Tank like 5-6.
Oh, listen, a lot of guys lost to Tank.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he was supposed to win that fight, but I mean.
Well, look, Raleigh. I agree. Ryan Garcia, I think, is really on a high right now. I do think that Ryan Garcia, I do give him more credit than I gave him when I initially saw Ryan Garcia years ago. I think he's proven to be a pretty good damn fighter. He can fight. He's got a good punch to him, good speed to him, and I think he is actually growing in terms of his knowledge of the sport. One of the issues with Ryan is just his ability to train properly and get himself in the proper shape. I seen him in the gym this week. He looked to be on weight, and he really looked to be sharp. So I'm happy with that. I think he's a guy that if he's in shape, he's healthy, watch out. So I do think that there should be the fight of the night. Raleigh does come to fight, even though he gets knocked out. He does come to fight. So what do you think about that? Any chance for Raleigh to do anything and be competitive? You think it's going to be a washout?
Ryan Garcia will get him out of there by 7 or 8.
If that's
my prediction.
Yeah. Raleigh does come to fight, so he'll hang in there for, like you said, 7 to 8 rounds.
He's a boxer. He's not a bad boxer.
Raleigh.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not winning.
He's not winning. But he's a pretty good boxer, and he's a strong kid. So you kind of have to, respect that. You got to be careful. You can't just go rush up on him. He can do something to you, which I thought, that's what I thought Tank did. Tank was careful, and he set him up, and by 7 or 8 rounds, he clipped him and sent him to a good night, and a good night he had on the canvas. So let's talk a little bit about Teofimo. Your guys' thoughts on him? I was kind of looking him up before we came on the air because, listen, Teofimo been doing a lot of talking. I think Teofimo is a good fighter. We'll go around and get you guys' assessment on that. But it's one of the things that's strange about the sport of boxing with these weight classes sometimes is that, particularly to me, in the modern day, guys are playing around. So I'm like, well, what weight class is Teofimo? They said, 135, 140. And I think there's a game that people are playing where they're trying to avoid fights. Like, what are you? Are you a 135 fighter or are you a 140 fighter? What are the challenges for him? Like, are they trying to set him up to fight Tank? Or are they trying to set him up to fight Dev? Or are they trying to set him up to fight... I don't know what's going on. Again, I don't even have a good assessment of him, honestly, as a fighter, because I just think that, what have we seen him do? What do you guys think about Teofimo as a boxer?
As a boxer, I don't think he's a great boxer. In my opinion, I feel like he's not a great boxer. Because I feel like of all the matches all the good fights that I've seen him win, the guy had a way smaller wingspan, and it was physically, how do I say it?
Not up to specs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Physically not up to specs with where he's at. But I feel like when he's versing someone who's physically as big as him,
Great point.
Same wingspan, and around the same area.
Great point.
He doesn't win those fights like Cambosis. Like he didn't win that fight.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. That's a very good point. Teofimo's one of those guys. He's fighting at 135, 140, but he's a pretty big 135, 140 guy. And I do think that a lot of times when he gets in there, he's dramatically bigger than his opponents, although within the weight limits, so he's not doing anything that he shouldn't be doing. But I do think that's a factor with him. I really want to see him get in there and a really good opponent, good without necessarily a size disadvantage, but that goes with the territory of the sport. Isaiah, your thoughts on Teofimo?
Not too impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good fighter, but I'm not really too impressed with him. I think if you were to put him up against any of the names that you mentioned before, that he would lose. To a Tank, to a Haney. I would like to see him versus Ryan. That might be a better fight, but I think he'll win the fight. What's the next week you said?
He's gonna win. Yeah,
I think he'll win that fight, but I don't think he can take down any of the big names.
So with that question and on hand, let's kind of look at that. You know, you got a nice crop of guys, 135, 140. I guess you could say 147 to some guys. We just finished seeing my guy just fought. Oh boy, he just fought last weekend in Atlantic City. Boots.
Oh.
He looked good. Boots looked pretty good. But Boots at 147, he's saying that he's going to stay there at 147. So. I'll even throw him in that mix. He's probably a little bit too heavy because Boots probably should be fighting 154. I know he can make 154 easily, so I don't recommend those guys mess with him. So I'm gonna put him halfway to the side right now. But out of those guys, you got Teofimo, you got Dev, you got Tank, you got Ryan. I might be missing, maybe even Lomachenko saying he's going to retire, but I also still hear rumors about him still, putting his hat. And out there, there's probably a few guys I'm not.
About Shakur?
Shakur Stevenson. Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot him.
Who? Pitbull.
You got Pitbull Cruz is still out there. Again, he's that same 135, 140. So this is what's disappointing a little bit about the sport because again, and I'm sure there's a few guys we're missing. Sorry for those guys that in that weight division that we're missing right now. But that's a good plethora of guys that first of all. Everybody needs these guys. Which weight class are you guys fighting? And there's a lot of money to be made there, and there's a lot of great fights to be made there. But just for the table and for the show, who are we thinking? If you had to rank those guys, who are we thinking is the best?
Tank.
You got Tank to beat everybody.
No question. I got Tank. Tank at number one. No, I gotta give me the list, but.
Well, we said you got Shakur.
Tank.
You got him over Shakur. Okay.
Uh-huh.
You got him over. Well, he already beat Pitbull.
Hey, I got him over Pitbull.
He already
got
beat
him over Ryan.
He already beat Ryan.
I got him over Tio. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
And I got him over Haney. So I put top three. I give you Tank, Haney, and.
What about Lomachenko if we throw him in the mix?
I still give it to Tank.
Okay.
As number one.
Good.
But for the three, it's either between Ryan, Shakur, or Lomachenko. I just need to see Shakur fight somebody.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Somebody
so
good.
You put for sure Tank over Shakur at this particular time.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm Aaron.
I don't have a problem with this list.
Yeah. You also think that Tank is number one?
Yeah, based off his resume.
Yes.
I mean, he's already beat what?
Yes,
Three guys that we're
impressive.
talking about.
That's impressive. I agree.
He's already beat three of them.
I agree. That's really
And then
impressive.
the rest just straight up will fight him. So
I agree with you. Great point on that one, guys. I'm full agreement. And as we were going through the list, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You can't front. Like he's the one guy. Well, maybe Ryan also.
Ryan's fought a lot of people.
Ryan has fought Tank. Ryan has fought Devin. So you have to give him some credit there.
He fight Pitbull?
No.
He didn't.
I'll tell you what, that might be a tough fight for Ryan. But again, and look, and that's one of the things. Let's give Tank full credit here because people, try to complain about dance cards, and I've said this before. I'll say it again right here. Give him a lot of credit because this is a day and age where guys just don't fight, and he's got a pretty good, especially considering the way that people don't fight each other today. Out of that top, and those are the top dogs. He fought at least two of them. And that's impressive. And he beat him. So that's even more impressive. And people forget about Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz, when he fought Leo Santa Cruz, he was considered to be one of the top fighters in the world. And he beat him. So, the only guy that I would, and I can't officially put him at over Tank because of his, who I'm going to say?
Devin.
No. I'm definitely going to say.
what? He's not rocking with Devin right now.
I'm not.
Look, Devin's the only other option.
The only other option to me is going to be Shakur. And the only reason why I can't put Shakur up there is because of his dance card.
Yeah.
I'm just going on my... Huh?
He's a hell of a
He is. I'm just going off of my visual.
He's same thing like you said for Lomachenko. He fights these guys, not impressed.
Whoa. Wait a minute. You're not impressed with Lomachenko.
No, Shakur.
Yeah, but you mentioned Lomachenko.
Yeah, because you said
He meant Tio.
I meant Tio.
Oh.
I meant Tio. You said the same thing for Tio. Tio fights these guys. It's like...
Well, here's the
Well, no.
difference. Go ahead, you go first.
Teofimo, he's fought guys that are like that. it's just he's much bigger than him. That's why I can't give him that credit. And when he's fought George Kambosos, he got folded.
Well, listen, the difference to me here with that one is Isaiah is not wrong, and that the dance card of Shakur Stevenson, it's not good. Let's be honest. Let's just keep it 100. It's not really good. But the thing about it is that he has no problems at all. Like, you don't come out of it kind of like, he was like, I don't know. He's dominating these people. He barely ever loses a round. So that's why, for me, just looking at him, as Aaron just said, his talent is just, to me, through the roof. I'm not going to put him over Tank because, again, just on Tank's dance card, he's definitely have to be number one. But I do think that that's a fight that, for me, if I can get any one of those fights, that's the one that I really would like to see.
Shakur versus Tank?
Yes.
You're going to get Shakur killed.
What?
Start him off easy, bro.
Wow.
Easier.
Easier.
Easier. Do Shakur versus anybody else.
I mean, Shakur is not a rookie. He's got a lot of experience. That fight is ready. Shakur doesn't need any other fights. Yeah, he's ready for Tank.
Right.
Will he beat him? I'm not saying that, but he's ready for Tank. They will, if they fought Friday and Tank won, there will be no excuse of like, nah, you know what, Shakur's a little green. No, Shakur has got tremendous experience. He's got over 20 fights as a pro, so he's ready. I mean, now it's just who's better. That's the real question here. I don't know. I just think he can. I think that he would give, Tank issues in terms of just being able to outbox Tank. Tank can get outboxed, but Tank is extremely smart, and he's like a cobra waiting on you to make a mistake. Shakur is one of those guys that, to me, very similar to a Floyd Mayweather. He's not really going to give you that chance to make a mistake, and he can go 12 rounds without giving you an opportunity to crack him. But of course, just as anybody, if Tank cracks you, it could be a problem. But so those are the fights that I definitely would say I look forward to. That 135, 140, those guys need to get it together because there's a lot of, they can really do something special for boxing. There's great fights there. Those guys need to come together and make those fights. I'm going to have to leave Boots off of it because I think he's just too big for those guys at this time. If we moving on into the Saturday, that's a Friday night Times Square. Saturday we got Canelo Alvarez going up against William Skull.
Who is that?
I forgot Canelo's fighting.
Yeah. Again, Isaiah didn't even remember he
No
was
offense,
fighting.
sorry.
Right, no offense to Canelo. Shout out to Canelo.
No,
man.
not Canelo.
Oh, sorry.
He's fighting.
No offense to William Skull.
Don't know that.
Some of this stuff, like I said, it's not, we don't mean to be offensive about it. We just not quite, we're big boxing people, but sometimes these things fall through the crack, especially, honestly, and this is an attack on the business and the way it's being run. They're not, building up guys like that. He could be a very good fighter. But what's happening is that we don't have the platform to, shout out to HBO, who they did a really good job of not putting a fight together like this. You would have seen this guy 2 or 3 times on HBO fighting somebody, so that we're not sitting here like, well, who is that? That's not, again, that's, to me, that's just bad business. That, it shouldn't be that way. So Canelo Alvarez is clearly, a lot of people would say he's the face of boxing. He's definitely, generously, for sure, top 5 fight in the world. I think everybody would agree to that. At least top 5 fight in the world, and certainly, probably 1 or 2, if not number 1, moneymaker in the world for boxing. Why in the hell is he fighting somebody that, we're ardent boxing fans, and we're kind of like, who is that? No good. That's a big problem. That shouldn't be, but it is what it is. Does anybody think Canelo's gonna have a problem?
No.
No, I don't think so. Again, it's boxing, but anything can happen. But I think Canelo will be ready. Fight is over in Saudi Arabia. Of course, this is a lot on the line. That's probably why we, again, you forgot. They're not really pumping it like that. Really not. This is the setup for, of course, the fight with Terrence Bud Crawford. So there is a lot on the line. If he loses the fight, obviously, the fight with Crawford would be in jeopardy. So he needs to make sure he takes care of business. Again, strange that you would take, the fighter out of, the United States, but apparently the Saudis are behind. They are behind Friday night's card in Times Square. Is my understanding. They spent a boatload of money to buy out Times Square and buy off all the blocks. It's just an unbelievable thing I've never really seen before. It's strange to me from the boxing standpoint, business standpoint. How in the world are they making their money back? I know everybody says the Saudis got more money than God. Happy Easter. I don't mean to be offensive to God. Let me pull that one back. They have a lot of money, but money runs out. We're humans. We're not God. So I don't know that type of investment. Hey, it's not my money. It is what it is. And then it's kind of screwed me a little bit because I'm going to be down in Vegas that Saturday.
Wait, hold on. Is the Canelo card? Is it a good fight card at least? Is
No,
anybody else
I don't know anything about the card, so
Canelo never has a good fight.
he never has a good fight card, so nothing's going on. Again, the right thing to do here would have been, throw Terrence on the card too. That would have been cool, but it is what it is.
Terrence Crawford won't settle for anything less than the main event.
Well, doesn't he not want to go to Saudi?
Probably that too.
He didn't say that. He spoke to the sheet. You know what I mean? He spoke to
Who
the
was the
sheet.
guy who said they didn't want to?
Tank. It has nothing to do with the Saudis.
Respect.
He's like, I got nothing to do with this dude. I don't want to get our show
Wasn't-
cut off, so
wasn't-
I'm not going to talk too bad about the Saudis. But
Wasn't Tank the one that was who got offended that they didn't get invited to one of the Saudis things? I thought that's not.
I don't think he got offended. I think they asked him about it. He was like, yeah, I'm not interested. But I think the Saudis know that Tank is not really feeling them, and the feeling is mutual, and Tank doesn't really care. And frankly, I kind of agree with Tank. Like, I really, at the end of the day, I'm making my money here in the United States, and I don't really necessarily need that. But let's see what happens.
What's the topic?
It was yeah. So let's move on from that. Like I said, the Saudis do have a lot of power, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. But I will be down in Vegas, like I said, for that. I'm normally down there for Cinco de Mayo. That's normally the biggest week of boxing and it's usually held in Las Vegas. But I do get a little bit of an extra treat because Sunday, anyway, is going to be boxing here in the United States. I think it's his first time coming. The great Japanese fighter, he's coming here to get busy. So I'm going to try to go to that and try to give you guys some footage of me going to that and just kind of give you guys a vibe of that. Any thoughts? I don't know who his opponent. Actually, I do have it. It's Cardones again. We don't know who that is. Anyways, it's interesting because he's a guy that, if you look at most pound for pound lists, he's in the top 3. But in the United States, we don't know that much about him because normally when he fights at like 4 o'clock in the morning, our time, and it's usually like on a Wednesday or something like that. So even his opponents, I think he had one opponent that I knew and he took care of business. So I'm curious to kind of see him fight and see what he has. Do you guys have any thoughts? I know we don't really get a chance to see him too much. Any thoughts on anyway?
That would probably be my first time at watching like an actual full fight of him.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what the hype is about him. I've seen highlights, but
Yes.
I've never seen a full fight of him. So
Yes.
I'm ready to see that.
Yes. I think I've seen one full fight of him. Like I said, can't remember who the opponent was, but I knew who the opponent was, and he broke him down and knocked him out. So this is what we got going on in boxing. Like I said, I'm really excited about just guys getting in the ring and then the possibilities behind it. There's a lot of fights we just ripped off. There could be an upset somewhere in there. If there is one, I want to pick. I'm sorry, I'm gonna pick Teofimo to lose. If anybody, but I don't think he's gonna lose. I think he's gonna take care of business. I know that, and I will say this. Shout out to him because I know he has been working extremely hard in his training camp. I know he's working with Canelo, and so he has been working hard and getting some work in for himself. I think also as a back note, I know that Ryan Garcia has been working with Arrow's guy also, so gonna be interesting.
I pick him.
Huh?
I pick Ryan. If there's an upset, it'll be Ryan.
Ryan gonna lose?
If there's an upset, just because he has the hardest fight.
What are you talking about?
Just because he has.
That's true. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I
What are you
mean,
talking about? Rolly's not the hardest fight on that card.
Ryan's not gonna lose.
I said if.
yeah. I mean, I think he's got the toughest opponent. I don't think the guy Jose Ramirez is, a decent fighter. So, listen, this is boxing. That's why I love the sport of boxing. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing. It could be Canelo. You never know. It could be Inoue. You never know who's going to, go out of the picture. We just don't know. So let's transition that into basketball. And we had a great week. Playoff has started. If you didn't get a chance, check it out. Go to the Mental Conditioning Sports website. We got some articles up. Aaron had a few good articles up. I had an article up. I'm gonna have another 2 up today, talking about the playoffs. we're really, really excited about it. Last night was the kickoff. We had the play-in games. A few teams got totally eliminated. Who's out? Who's in the play-in and they're gone?
Dallas and Atlanta.
Dallas and Atlanta is gone. Just let's give a little talking about it with Dallas and the whole situation with Dallas. I mean, they fought hard. I watched that last game that they had. They fought pretty hard. Anthony Davis played his hard. I think he had like 30 and big numbers. It just obviously wasn't enough. I think one of you guys mentioned during the game, what do you guys think about the possibilities for Dallas going forward into next year? I think they said Kyrie will not be back, but he won't be going for the whole season.
To January.
They're talking about January, so he'll miss maybe the first quarter of the season. If that happens and everybody comes back healthy, do we think that they can really,
They can win the championship if everybody comes out.
you think they can win the championship?
Absolutely. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson. If they keep the same team, and what they have, the rest of the roster who's coming off finals last year, I think they have a good shot at the championship.
Interesting. Okay. It's not crazy. Isaiah.
I'd have to see how Kyrie Irving's playing off the ACL tear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a huge injury. Sidelined us a lot of people's careers.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be fine, to be honest with you, but, I just have to see what kind of system they would run, with AD and Kyrie, because that's a really, really good 1-2 punch. That's very dangerous and would probably be one of, if not the best duo in the league. That's nasty.
Wow. You would agree?
That's nasty work.
Yeah, I mean, that you know what? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because the thing is with that, it's just like you said, injuries. Let's be honest, Anthony Davis is, I like the guy, but he's also, borderline walking injury himself. He's always hurt. So, and these guys are getting older. But listen, if both guys are completely healthy, playing at the top of their game, they can make a push to say that they're one of the best duos in the league for sure. I don't know about the best. I can definitely say that they can make a case to say that they are one of the best duos in the league. So Dallas got a shot. Let's pray that they're healthy. You hate to see teams not perform because they're not healthy, but they definitely have a shot at it. And Atlanta, I don't know. I don't really like Atlanta. So what do you guys think? Do they have anything going on the horizon for themselves going into next year, or same thing?
Like I said, we don't talk about Atlanta on this podcast.
Okay, so
They need to rebuild.
you need to rebuild, yes. And one thing to say, you know what? If they could do a rebuild without Trae Young coming to New York. So any talk about that, let's stop it right now.
Please.
So as we move on into what we do have, yesterday we had a great lineup. First day of the playoffs, the Knicks and Pistons. That's where our heart is. Home is where the heart is. So I'm going to go off with that. Let's start off with that. I thought it was a really good game actually. The Knicks went on a heck of a run to close that game out, but 21-0 run to close that game out. There was some concern for me, during the early part of the game, just a little bit.
Through third, honestly.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter's when we really started.
Yeah, I thought that, we'll see. You know what I mean? This is an interesting thing because I do think, one thing about the playoffs for me is that, to me, this is a superstars game. There's been a few teams over the years that don't really have that one superstar that they've been really able to put together. The Pistons team of the 2000s, we had Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton and Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace. That was a team that didn't really have a superstar. It was just such a really good team, coached by Larry Brown. They won a championship, but that's rare that you really see that. And so, with the Knicks this year, Jalen Brunson's clearly a superstar. And he just took the game over. He just was really shooting a lot. At one point, I was like, I think he's shooting a little too much, but it kind of worked, I guess, in the end. Right. I'm not sure. One of my concerns going in when you have a young team like this, you want to make sure you punch them in the mouth. That let them know, like, listen, you guys are not on the same level with us. And honestly, I don't think that the Knicks were able to do that. They won the game on a nice 21-0 run in the fourth quarter. But if I'm coaching the Pistons, I'm going to be like, yo, we hung in there. We tighten up to go into that fourth quarter. It's natural. We're new. We know not to do that again. We can beat these guys. Your thoughts on the game, Isaiah?
I'm not impressed with the Knicks. Especially, everybody's got a lot of high hope. I'm not going to lie, I thought they were going to lose that first game. And losing that first game would have told the story for the Pistons. not saying that they would win the series, but meaning they would have had a lot of confidence going into the next couple of games. You could definitely see their confidence shake by the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You know, the three. It's a lot of energy, a lot of hype, a lot of, momentum towards them. And then by the fourth quarter, the 21-0 run, it was kind of just away. You can just see like visible frustration. I saw Malik Beasley start yelling at everybody. I think after a Jalen Brunson or a campaign and one, which I think it might have been Jalen Brunson's and one. So not impressed. I think that Knicks need to play more team ball because yes, we do have a superstar, but we also got phenomenal pieces around him. I think everybody has the capability to be an all-star. I mean, I can't even lie with OG Anunoby. He's been playing amazing. Mikal Bridges obviously has the potential to be an all-star. Maybe not this season with how I've watched him play. Cat obviously. Campaign off the bench honestly produced a lot for us.
Big yesterday.
And everybody likes to laugh at the name Campaign, but nobody in the Pistons was laughing when he entered the game.
No, I agree.
So, not impressed, but we got the win, so.
I mean, excuse me, Franklin did that last year with Philadelphia. He would come in and do that. And he's an interesting basketball player. Yeah, he's one of them guys, like, I like him because he's on our team now, but he's just one of them guys that if he's not on your team, you're like, yo, I hate this dude. His bizarre shooting form and his exuberance and his antics can be upsetting, but when he's on your team, you're like, yeah, come on, Cam. So, I don't know your thoughts on the game yesterday.
I feel like we need to start passing the ball more. I understand Jalen Brunson's a superstar. He can get stuff done, but
That's true.
I feel like him as a point guard, he needs to facilitate a little bit more, or a little bit more than he is right now. Because usually he'll come up the court, he'll probably cook the guy, get to the paint, and get a bucket.
Yeah.
But that's not the case for every single possession, and some possessions are just wasted because of it. And also, Karl Anthony Towns needs to stop with the half-court threes.
That's too much.
It's getting out of hand. I mean, we were like third quarter. It was like, I don't know, it might have been fourth, honestly. And he just popped it from half-court. I just feel like that's got to stop.
That's a momentum killer. I know the exact shot you're talking about. The Knicks were really, at that point the game was close. The 3 points got out of hand. He I don't know what happened. He lost his head, and he just jacked up a half-court shot. That could be, you gotta tighten that up. But to his credit, that was one of my biggest pet peeves with Karl Anthony Towns coming here. And frankly, I'm well documented in saying it. I didn't want him here, but I have changed my thought process with that throughout the year. He's had an excellent season, and one of the things that I've been very impressed with him is that he did take that out of his game. When you see him in Minnesota, he was just doing that constantly. He was jacking threes up. I'm like, at one point the guy was in a 3-point contest, which to me was bizarre. Why is a center in the 3-point contest? It just didn't look right to me. Old school, I don't like that. And it's interesting because Karl Anthony Towns is actually such a wide body. He's gangly and he's at times comical in the way that he moves, but he can really move for a big guy. His post moves are very good. It's not like he doesn't have, for example, our guy Mitch Robinson. Mitch apparently doesn't have much moves in the post. So, I get it more so with him, or we haven't seen it, but Karl Anthony Towns has actually got really good post moves. Bro, get down there and use those post moves, which he has been doing. So, I'm not taking that away from him. It's just be careful with those threes, man. And I definitely agree. You want to see the Knicks move the ball around just a little bit more. But to play devil's advocate with that, listen, the truth is we kind of rock with Jalen Brunson like that throughout the whole season. And he hasn't let us down. He's really, again, better than, I keep saying it, he's better than I even thought. I mean, he does carry the team when we're in those spots. He's making those shots, and he was making them yesterday too. He was making those shots, but you just worry. Obviously, they should be able to beat the Pistons with this, but as we go further, you're definitely going to need, much more of a collaborative effort from the team. You don't want to get into a one-on-one, battle. Like that, superstar for superstar. Just you got, as Isaiah said, Knicks have a little bit too much talent for that. Going into Game 2, what are your thoughts? You think the Pistons gonna have confidence, or are the Pistons demoralized?
I wouldn't say they're demoralized, but I won't say that they have confidence either. I think I think they'll kind of, obviously, they're not going to think they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll go in with energy. I think if they perform, the same way they did through the first 3 quarters, then the Knicks might have a little problem on their hands. The fourth quarter was just a complete shutout.
Yes.
But if they play like how they did the first 3 quarters through 0-4, that might be a problem.
I feel like since they're young, they just might overthink it a little bit too much.
Maybe.
Who's the? Everybody know the coach?
Bickerstaff.
JB Bickerstaff.
I know the name. Does he have a lot of playoff experience?
No, but he's been around a long time. His dad was a legendary coach for many years. Rest in peace, Bernie Bickerstaff. He was a hell of a coach in Seattle for many years, and his son has been around the game a long time, so he definitely knows what he's doing. No question about
Yeah, I
it.
feel like if Bickerstaff would just have to take the lead on this, because I feel like if they just go out with like themselves, as the young team that they are, I just feel like they just might overthink that,
Mm-hmm.
and that would just give the Knicks a big opportunity to just blow them out games.
That's a great assessment, Aaron. I think that and again, right on the money, excellent assessment there. It's up to the coach. You're coaching a team like that. Honestly, you don't want to do too much. You just have them guys roll the ball out there and play, and come out there loose and just play. I thought Cade did okay yesterday for his first real playoff action. He did okay. Actually, the Knicks had a lot of problems with Tim Hardaway Jr. It is what it is. He caused the Knicks some problems, but at the same time, remember he had the most playoff experience for his team, and he played like it. Tobias Harris too. I don't know. Did he have a good game? He did okay.
22 points by the half.
No, so he did good. So the 2 guys that had the most playoff experience stepped up. So you look for Cade to say, okay, this is how the rhythm goes to the playoffs, and you look for him to definitely step it up and play a little bit better. Not that he played a terrible game, but I think, it's tricky. Like, I definitely don't think they're demoralized. I think they're gonna come out, and I think that they feel like they can win. They did compete with the Knicks for 3 quarters and had a chance to win. And so as a coach, even as a player, you can wipe that out of your mind. Like, we was right there. And you know what? When it came time to win, they seemed like they had a little more experience. We kind of shook out. We know what to do now. So Knicks really gonna have to, I think, game 2 kind of put a hurting on Detroit. I don't think it should. If it's a close game again, we're looking at a tough series. So I think it's important that the Knicks go out there in game 2, really put a shellac into those guys and let them know you're not in the same league with us. And let's take it to the next series, which I think is going to be, I think it's going to be a very sizzling series, maybe one of the best series we've seen in quite some time in basketball, and that's the Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. That game yesterday was just, that's going to be a tough series. Denver ended up pulling that game out. So that was a big win for them. I thought they were going to lose the game, and they really needed to get that game, I think, to settle that series into. Does anybody think that's not going to go 7? Okay, go ahead.
I think it'll go 6.
With who winning?
Clippers. I still got one winning the Clippers.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie.
So you even with Denver losing, winning that first game, you think the Clippers will still wipe them out in 6?
Yeah, I still
You
think.
can go into that. I'm trying to
I
figure
still
that
think
out.
the Clippers got it. Kawhi Leonard is a playoff monster.
We'll get to that.
So him and Jokic, they'll kind of like cancel each other. Obviously, Jokic is the way better player and probably going to be the MVP of the league. Well, I don't know. They might give it SGA based off record, but
I don't know about winning.
and for most of us, probably the MVP of the league.
Yes.
But Kawhi Leonard is he's a freak of nature. I don't think he had the best game last night, but they kept it within. I think the final score they lost by 2. They kept it within 2 with Kawhi having an off night, so that's dangerous. James Harden, who's really been looking to score a lot more towards the end of the season compared to the start of the season, that might prove to be a problem for them too. But I won't take nothing away from Denver. They played great. Russell Westbrook played amazing, especially at the end of the game. Hit some threes, had some good defensive stops. Obviously, Jokic is Jokic. Jamal Murray played great. It's going to be a good series, but I think it'll go 6.
I think it'll go 7. I don't think Kawhi had an off night.
I don't think he did either. I think he played well.
I thought he played well. Obviously he could do better, but I didn't think he had an off night last night. I saw him. He stepped up when he needed to. James was just killing those guys. he got to the paint whenever he wanted to. Whenever he wanted to make a three, he made that three. So I feel like James Harden might be a bit of a problem for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I gonna say?
No, look, I agree with that. I thought that Kawhi Leonard. When the one thing was Kawhi Leonard is a spot player, and it's hard to do it the way that he does it because he picks his spots, and he's such a brilliant guy at knowing when the spot is, particularly in a playoff game, that he has to rise to the occasion. And I thought that's what makes his game to me so good. That when it's time and it's like, okay, I gotta take the game over, he just absolutely dominates the game in those spots. And I thought he did that yesterday. James Harden, as both of you are saying, I'm not a big James Harden fan, but James Harden is a big problem in the playoffs because if he goes off on you, he can win a whole series. He gets hot for 3 games, he can win this series for you. And he had a few yesterday that you were just like, hold it, this is crazy. So dangerous in that aspect of the game. I wanted to come back a little bit to and Aaron and I had this discussion yesterday about Kawhi Leonard. I think that the Clippers are so good, in my opinion. What's the center's name on there? And this guy's good. They have a really nice mix on that team. And I think that the Clippers are so good that I'm not necessarily picking them to win the championship, but if they went to the finals, I really can't say that I'd be shocked if they won the championship. Does anybody disagree?
For the Clippers?
Yes.
Well, didn't you say they were part of your contenders?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, like I said, they're definitely a team that I think can win the championship. With that being said, I'm developing this point in that if the Clippers were to win the championship, obviously Kawhi Leonard would be leading that. And where did we put Kawhi Leonard in terms of, again, I want to be clear, I'm not saying the greatest of all time. To me, whenever we have that conversation, there is no conversation. Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. That's it. Period. But then you have after. Where does he run? You just mentioned, that triggered me because you mentioned him and the Joker.
Mm.
Overall, who's a better player? You just said to you, it's no question.
Jokic.
Jokic is way better than Kawhi Leonard. Do you think that
Currently?
overall?
What do you mean overall?
Like the body of work, I guess, at this point.
Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is just Kawhi
Jokic
just hurt so much.
No, but Jokic is a monster.
Kawhi
Jokic is damn near. Is he 7 feet?
About that.
He's
At
around.
least
Let's say he's like 6'11", 7 foot. Bro, the dude can do whatever he wants on the floor.
Yeah, I can't take that away from him.
That I've never seen nothing like that, especially for a dude his size. Jokic ain't a fast dude.
He's not a fast.
He's not, and he's a big body dude. But he could just do whatever he wants. He just got his way on the floor.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of Kawhi Leonard. I just think that he's such a winner, and for him, he'll if they were to win the championship, he will accomplish something that I don't think after really think about it, that I've never seen done before. I'm pretty sure that I can say I've never seen that.
No,
Right?
bro.
All right.
I think off the top of my head, that's the only other person that's done that.
Only other person that's done that, and that's go to 3 different teams and win the championship. Yeah, LeBron James
And 3 finals.
and three finals MVPs. That's hard to do, man, and that's just up there for me. You know what I mean? If he did that, that's just an incredible feat for me. But that's going to be a really good series. Like I said, I really can't call it. Who did you say you think going to win the series?
I want the Clippers to win.
I want the Clippers to win too.
But who do you think is gonna win?
Right.
Versus who do you?
The Clippers should win because the only reason why they lost that game last night is because they couldn't get a rebound when it was late.
That's true.
I feel like that's the only reason why if they got those rebounds, they would have won that game. So I feel like, and they honestly kept the lead from the entirety of the game.
I was surprised they lost the game. Yeah, I agree.
They might have even got it up to double digits.
Yeah, I thought so too. At one
So
point.
I feel like, I think the Clippers will win. I think so.
Again, a testament. Now I have to go back and a testament to Isaiah and what he's talking about with Jokic. Like, Jokic is just a really good player. But I'll divert just for 1 second to say, like, if you think that Jokic is unbelievable,
Larry Bird is better than Jokic.
Jesus Christ.
So let's continue on. Then you had the Pacers and the Bucks. Very interesting situation there. I guess apparently the Pacers blew the Bucks out. I saw a little bit of that game.
Hold on. Do you genuinely believe Larry Bird is a better player?
Yes.
Now I'm not talking about career and accolades. A better player
Yes. 100%.
than Jokic?
Yes. Larry Bird's a better shooter. Larry Bird can rebound the ball the same way. Both guys are not that good defensively, but both guys were very smart defensive players. They don't move their feet. They're both very, very slow. When I watch Luka and I watch Jokic, I laugh to myself because everybody's, oh my God, Luka. And I'm not saying nothing bad about either guy. But I'm just telling you, Bird is better than both of those guys. Bird is better than both of those guys. Bird can move without the ball better than those guys. He's just better. And then that's not to take nothing away from neither one of those guys. Those guys are unbelievable, no question. But that's, again, a tribute to how good Larry Bird is. Larry Bird was, you got to remember, Larry Bird is equivalent. And I'm about to piss him off. I'm not saying that he's a better, but you got to remember the way that the game was played then, Larry Bird, shooting-wise, was on the level of Steph Curry. And now you have a guy who's 6'9", shooting the ball like that. It's just, what are you going to do about it? He can shoot the ball at the same level as a guy like Steph Curry.
Yo, like, do you hear the blasphemy coming out of his mouth?
Listen, I'm just gonna let him rock. Maybe Larry Bird was a Steph Curry of that time.
No,
I
I don't need to watch Larry Bird to even hear somebody make the comment of comparing Larry Bird, anybody's shooting ability to Stephen Curry. Honestly,
I'm just telling you.
Nobody on this planet.
I didn't say that.
Nobody on this planet is comparable.
Larry Bird
Stephen Curry
may have been the original Stephen Curry, but Stephen Curry has surpassed Larry Bird in 2016.
I didn't say that Larry Bird is a better shooter than Stephen Curry. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm saying you're comparing.
Yes.
And I'm saying that
This is completely.
how can you do that?
Because you have to realize one thing with Steph Curry. And this is not a knock on Steph Curry. I'm not taking anything away from Steph Curry. But one of the things you got to realize is that and give Mark Jackson and Coach Kerr, Steve Kerr, the credit to this. The game has changed. And Steph Curry is allowed to do things that just was not allowed before. So we're talking about, oh my God, these guys shooting the ball from, 2 or 3 feet beyond the 3-point. Unheard of and very hard to do. I'm not saying necessarily that Bird can do that, but that's not the way the game was played.
So you think if Larry Bird were to play in this day and age, let's give him Steph Curry's green light. Steph Curry can put up like 10 threes in a game before Curry even looks at him sideways. You think if he had the same green light to do whatever he wants, Larry Bird will be shooting the ball as efficiently or even more efficiently than Steph Curry?
As efficiently as Steph Curry. He's that type of shooter, yeah. But like I said, again, back then they weren't allowed to really, the offense is different. And he had a different offense around him. He had Kevin McHale, who's arguably one of the greatest low post players in the game. Robert Parrish was a great low post center. So he had more options to be able to, the way the offense was run. But I can show you games where Larry Bird just went off, and the way that he just shooting, just like, yo, what is that?
But the reason why Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, not just because of how much times he makes three and how efficient he is, the dude can make a three with anybody and their mamas on him. The way he shoots it, the contest, how far he shoots it, nobody else can ever do that. The only person that rivaled that was Damian Lillard. You think Larry Bird could hit a fadeaway three from half court like Steph Curry can?
We get home and show you guys a few videos of stuff. We get home.
I think you're biased.
I'm not biased. And it's crazy. You know what's crazy about this? My father's watching from heaven, and he's laughing because he knows, and my brother, who's also up there, they know how much, and I hate to use this word because I don't hate anybody, but let me just say, the disdain. I am a Dr. J, that's my favorite player of all time. So, and the Knicks is my favorite team of all time, but I was a big Philadelphia 76ers guy. The disdain that I have to this day for the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird is worse than what I had for Michael Jordan. I cannot stand this guy. But it is what it is. For you guys to say like he couldn't hit those shots under duress, I'm just telling you that's not an accurate statement. That's just not an. I'm telling you that Larry Bird hit shots that you just like, come on, you gotta be kidding. With people draped all over him, shooting threes, just going out of bounds. I mean, if you know the game when he played against Atlanta Hawks, when Dominique Wilkins was there, the guys on the Atlanta Hawks got fined because the guy went off so bad that the Atlanta Hawks bench was clapping for Larry Bird. That's how bad it was. This dude was just. Anyway, let's finish up on. We'll get to that. We'll come back to this. I just want to cover this rest of the playoffs. We're not finished with that one. Listen, please comment about that. All of my guys that have seen Larry Bird play, can you please comment and just let people know, please, for God's sakes. Pacers Bucks. There's an X factor here. I thought that was a huge win, a must win for the Indiana Pacers yesterday because there is some word that Dame Lillard, I think it's pretty much confirmed that Dame will be back. I think you said
Game 2 or 3.
Game 2 or 3 he'll be back. So that was just a must win for the Indiana Pacers. I was a little surprised at the beatdown that they handed to Milwaukee. Anybody surprised by that?
No, I wasn't.
Really?
I wasn't. Oh, I was surprised only just because Kyle Kuzma had the new Tony Snell game, as Aaron liked to call it when I sent him the box score. Kyle Kuzma is a dude that they traded for before the trade deadline. And Kyle Kuzma's a really good player. He's a good scorer, can do whatever. He didn't have a single stat.
In 22 minutes.
In 22
He didn't score?
No, he didn't score.
He didn't get a rebound.
He didn't get a rebound.
What?
He didn't get an assist.
Who? Kyle Kuzma?
He missed every shot he put up, and
Really?
That. And Kyle Kuzma.
And the stats were.
Where did he play last year? He was there?
Washington. The stats were.
And then he won the chip with the
Giannis
Lakers.
had.
Oh, he won a championship?
With the Lakers. Bubble season.
Giannis had 30 something points. The rest of the starters had 13. As
a whole?
As a whole, the rest of the starters had like 13 or 14.
I mean, the whole Bucks roster besides Giannis is completely about to bed last night.
I agree.
Well, who else do they have?
Exactly.
You want to know their starting lineup?
Yes.
I don't know their starting point guard.
I know Giannis is there.
So they got Giannis.
Kevin Porter Jr. is there, right?
But he's not starting.
Bobby Portis is there?
Bobby Portis is.
Then he gets
he's back.
back.
He's back. So their starting lineup is Ryan Rollins.
Raleigh?
Wait, at the point guard?
Mm-hmm. Torian Prince.
Trash.
Kyle Kuzma, Giannis, Brook Lopez. Off the bench, they got KPJ, Gary Trent, Bobby Portis. Man, Jericho Sims got some playing time, man. But yeah, no, that is bad. Giannis had 36, Brook Lopez had 9, and Rollins had 5, and that's the only people that scored for the starters.
Okay, so if Dame comes back, do we think that changes that series?
Absolutely.
Damian Lillard is arguably one of the best players in the league when
And
something's on the line in playoffs.
There's no question about that.
He's one of the best playoff performers, if not the best playoff performer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna argue with you. I was down in Vegas. That's one of my most memorable basketball. I mean, I was down in Vegas, and my wife and I were walking on the strip, and the game was like maybe in the third quarter. I think we went into the casino. We went to get something to eat, and I got back to our hotel room, and he was still playing. That game went into like double or triple overtime, and this dude. That was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. The whole strip was just stopped in Las Vegas watching that thing on the big screen, and this guy was just. And I said it then, like, I've never really seen anything like that before. I'm not going to front. Like, I've never seen anything like that before. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm curious to see what happens. Hopefully for Milwaukee, they can try to get one of the games before he does come back and then see what happens. But interesting.
He could be back next game.
He might be back next game. I know he was there at the game yesterday, so.
Was he?
Yes, he was there. He got into it with the guy. What's it?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Halliburton.
Yeah, he got attacked.
Yeah, he got
Dame got attacked?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dame.
You think he should play?
Very risky. You have to be careful with that blood clot.
That's a very serious
Don't
injury.
play around with that. It's very serious. I know they took it easy with Wemby.
Well, they
Shut
didn't
it
have
down.
a chance to win anything
Right.
anyways.
So
I think his is a lot more serious.
I think so too. Seems so. It seems so. Because they never, when they announced Dame's, they didn't really say how long he would be out. So I figured, well, maybe his is not as serious. So we just have to pray for him and make sure that, this is basketball, that's life. You don't want anybody to,
Right.
go down in that way. So let's see what happens. It'll be very interesting for that series. And then we got the Lakers and Minnesota that finish out tonight. I know we were all really looking forward to that game. I don't know. I'm a little torn because
Torn.
yeah, because Minnesota is my favorite West Coast team, but I actually like LeBron James. I do. Not the biggest Luka fan in the world, but I've always been kind of a Laker fan somewhat, I guess. I always like Magic Johnson and those guys, so I don't dislike the Lakers, but Minnesota's my guy. I love Anthony Edwards. I use Minnesota Timberwolves on 2K when I get a chance to play, so I do like that team. Very shocking. The way that game went down last night, it was a beatdown. It really was. I mean, Anthony Edwards was sensational. What do you guys think about, it's just game one, and again, Los Angeles Lakers have a lot of playoff experience. But let me just, before I kick it around, we talked about this heavily last week, and I said, I thought this would happen. I said that, the Lakers is to me is interesting because you got Luka, you got LeBron James. I know you guys feel like it's a big three. I don't necessarily think it's a big three. I'm not a big fan of what's the kid?
Reeves.
Yeah, he's good.
You need to watch the Lakers play.
He's good. I'm not saying he's not good, but I just think that when, as I said last week, he's one of those players that once his name goes up on the board, he can be stopped. He's a good player. I don't dislike him. I love his game. He's a scrappy kid. He come out of nowhere. You gotta love that story. I'm just concerned for him and the Lakers that when teams put his name up on the board and say we're gonna stop him, I just think that they'll be able to do that. Aaron?
I didn't really watch too much of the game after they started getting blown out.
Yes.
I was really excited for it, but I was like,
Yeah.
I went downstairs to watch WrestleMania over that, honestly.
Mhm.
But I mean, Anthony Edwards, like I said in the article that I wrote, Anthony Edwards, you can't count this guy out.
You can't count him.
Especially after the playoff run he went last year. He went to the Western Conference Finals, beat the Nuggets in 7, swept KD.
Yeah.
He's just on a tear right now.
Yeah.
But that's not how I saw that game one going down.
No.
I definitely thought the Lakers were gonna, like you said, like sit those young boys down, like tell let them know,
Yeah.
But
Yes.
like you said, Luka after maybe second quarter, I know he had like 14 first quarter, and after that,
He was a
he
non-factor.
kind of went quiet.
Yeah, he was a non-factor. He's still scoring the ball, but he was a non-factor, I thought. Your thoughts on that? I know you got this box score up there.
The Lakers just need more production from the rest of the team. I know you don't like to call Austin Reeves part of the big three, but he is part of the big three. Outside of those three, nobody scored over 10 points. That should just never, ever be the case. Luka overall played great. I don't really know quarter by quarter like these guys do.
What do you finish with?
37 points, 1 assist, which ain't really like him, and 8 rebounds. LeBron had 19, 3 and 5. Austin Reeves 16, 3 and 3, and then nobody scored over 10. Closest was Rui with 9, and then Dalton Connect, who played during garbage time with 5 points. He played 3 minutes and outscored the rest of the team. That's crazy to me.
Who was on the court at that point? Who was on the court at that point?
What do you mean?
Who was playing? No one was playing.
No, but I'm saying these guys that played 30 minutes, 20 minutes,
They didn't
10
even get
minutes,
that.
they didn't even score more than he did, and he played 3 minutes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mr. Mark, Dalton Connect not playing.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I just think that the game plan, like I said, the playoffs is different. Teams have time to prepare for other teams, and I would say that the game plan that Minnesota has a very good coach, and Minnesota is proven to be a team, and I'm going to address this too. It's proven to be a team that really gets it right in the playoffs. They're young, and as Aaron said, they have experience. They're a young team, yes, but they have experience. That playoff run they did last year was sensational.